Bob Iger makes 400 times what his lowest worker is. And I think that's a shame, Bob.
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
I'm now at a juncture where I can say no. I don't want to make another movie.
The first tremor hit the Disney lot at 7 a.m. sharp. Deadline blasted out Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth signs 750 blood map Transformers pact. Marvel veterans exit Mouse House. In Burbank's glass-walled conference cube, executives read the headline twice, waiting for the punchline that never came. This wasn't rumor, it was signed, paper-clipped and couriered by Hasbro's top lawyer. By 7:85 HR was fielding frantic
I'm gonna go fly a kite. I mean, just at the insult offer. Why? Did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over?
calls from agents who suddenly realized their marquee clients had slipped the leash. Jeremy Renner had been the test case. Months earlier, still limping on titanium pins after the snowplow catastrophe, he'd picked up Disney's offer for Hawkeye Season 2, half his prior salary, zero backend. Recovery had taught him pain tolerance, but not self-disrespect. He recorded the negotiation, leaked the clip, and watched half the Jeremy trend before breakfast. Behind closed doors, Marvel accountants shrugged. He's damaged goods. They didn't notice the dominoes tilting. Scarlett's lawyers noticed. She still carried the scar of Disney's callous pandemic press release, corporate spin that turned a breach of contract lawsuit into public vilification. She'd settled for a check but never for silence. When the Transformers script codenamed Exodus hit her inbox, it included profit participation, directing attachments, and one clause she underlined twice. No unilateral streaming dumps without performer consent. The irony tasted sweet. Hemsworth's tipping point was quieter. In reshoots for Love and Thunder, he'd asked for a take where Thor grieved without a punchline gag. A junior exec snorted, "Humor tests better." That night he called CAA and said, "Find me a franchise with gravity." Paramount's pitch arrived 48 hours later. Executive producer credit, character ownership, and veto power over toy likenesses. Mjolnir stayed in the prop vault. Paramount's assault, internally dubbed Project Phoenix, was engineered by Echelon Media Capital, a private equity hydra stacked with ex-Disney dissidents. They studied Marvel's pain points like battlefield medics, streaming disputes, back-end erasure, algorithmic rewrites, VFX sweat. Then they offered the opposite, old-school theatrical points. Longer post schedules, stunt teams with hazard authority. Word spread through WhatsApp groups the Marvel cast had used since invitation-only Zooms followed. Cameras off, NDAs on, grievances aired. By the third call, the Exodus had momentum no PR memo could dam. Inside Disney, a harmony plan tried to triage the hemorrhage, recast legacy roles with TikTok darlings, fast-track Young Avengers, merge half-finished scripts into a multiversal mashup. But finance flagged another crisis. Licensing revenue tanked the moment Paramount granted its stars final say over merchandise. Hasbro literally killed toy lines rather than break that promise, and Funko stock wobbled. Fans weren't fooled either. They'd watched Phase 4 buckle under weightless stakes and clipped wing characters. She-Hulk's rubbery CGI, Secret Invasion's AI opening credits, Quantumania's volume screen flatness, symptoms of a studio sprinting on autopilot. When Joe Rogan's leaked rant called Marvel movies industrial sludge, even die-hard stans nodded grimly. Now Deadline's splash confirmed what Reddit threads had only whispered. The heroes themselves agreed. Downey, once Marvel's irreplaceable nucleus, had signed to voice an ancient Autobot tactician across a trilogy, plus produce a Disney tell-all doc for HBO. Johansson locked for a cyber spy spin-off. Hemsworth to headline Exodus with battle-scarred gravitas. Thor was never allowed. Renner, still rebuilding muscle fiber, slated to play a grizzled resistance sniper with a damaged leg, art imitating life on his own terms. At noon, Bloomberg reported Disney stock down 6%. By evening, analysts coined a new acronym on the crawl, IP Exodus risk. Wall Street finally grasped the unthinkable. Disney's moat wasn't castles or copyrights, it was people. And the people had crossed the bridge. Across town, Stage 117's doors clanged shut as Hemsworth wrapped a rehearsal. Oil-streaked Autobot animatronics loomed over him in semi-darkness. An assistant offered a golf cart ride. He waved it off and walked slow, deliberate. Each footstep echoed a message the mouse had ignored for too long. Respect is not a special effects budget line, it's the foundation. The revolution had begun, and this time the capes were hanging in someone else's wardrobe. Sunset bled through the smoked glass windows of Disney's executive tower, staining the boardroom crimson while a war room assembled in hushed panic. PowerPoint slides flew past. Social sentiment dip, 38%. Projected Phase 6 attrition, 52%. Consumer trust index, historic low. No one mentioned the elephant in the room. The 5-minute supercut of Hemsworth, Johansson and Renner beaming on Paramount's set that had already hit 10 million views on YouTube. The mouse had lost control of the narrative. Damage control began with a covert PR stratagem, leaked 36 hours later by an indignant junior copywriter. The plan was brutal in its cynicism. Label Transformers Exodus nostalgia junk. Deploy influencers to call defecting actors ungrateful. Seed think pieces about superhero burnout, not corporate failure. But the leak detonated on social media. Disney smear trended worldwide. Commentators comparing the tactics to a supervillain L Corp dossier. Every retweet compounded the humiliation. The very next morning, Comic-Con's Hall H schedule quietly updated. Marvel's primetime slot vanished. Bloggers howled. The giant had fled its own arena. In its place, Paramount announced a surprise panel with the Exodus cast. Tickets vaporized in 90 seconds. Scalpers asked Broadway prices for balcony seats. Hall H hasn't seen electricity like that since 2015's Force Awakens. This time the roar wasn't for a teaser, it was for defiance. When Johansson strode on stage, she didn't need to slam Disney by name. The thunderous standing ovation did it for her. Back in Burbank, Marvel's script departments were rewriting history on caffeine drip. Without Thor, Widow or Hawkeye, Phase 6 storylines collapsed like dominoes. Studio archivists rummaged decades-old IP to plug the gaps. Darkhawk, Thunderstrike, female Punisher variants. Anything to keep shareholders calm. A Zoom call leaked, an exec suggested digitally resurrecting Iron Man for cameos using Downey's scan data. Legal flagged ethical minefield, VFX groaned, fans gagged. The once unthinkable was now a very real desperation move. Meanwhile, Transformers' secret weapon wasn't its robots, it was its writer's room. James Mangold, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Dune's John Spates had been camped in a Malibu retreat punching up dialogue and arcs, months before Paramount greenlit the budget. Their mandate: no filler, no corporate notes until final draft. When Hemsworth asked for a scene of his character suffering PTSD hallucinations in silence, no dialogue, just breathing. They wrote it and then hired an Afghanistan combat consultant to nail the detail. Compare that to Marvel reshoot memos. Add a quip here, insert cameo there. Audiences feel the difference. Even Wall Street saw the writing on the vault. Morgan Stanley amended its Disney forecast, citing starflight risk and brand fatigue accelerated by public talent disputes. CNBC's talking heads debated whether Disney would spin off Marvel entirely. One analyst quipped, maybe they can sell it to Echelon. The joke cut close to bone. Rumor has it Echelon's war chest isn't empty. Inside the Hollywood ecosystem, crews followed the actors. A guild-wide poll showed 67% of veteran stunt performers listing Paramount as their first-choice employer, after Phase 4's infamous Quantumania safety shortcuts. VFX houses once terrified to refuse Marvel gigs now weighed bit. Our artists would rather sleep than render another floating head, a supervisor at WITA confided. Jeremy Renner's Renaissance became the movement's rallying poster. Paparazzi shots of him sprinting uphill during physio went viral beneath captions like half the Jeremy, try twice the grit. On Exodus, he insisted his marksman character walk with a subtle limp. I want kids with scars to know you can still be the hero. Disney marketing had once edited out his hearing aid in posters. Paramount plans to feature it front and center. The cultural tide turned faster than executives understood. TikTok creators stitched Marvel's empty green screen fight scenes against leaked Exodus animatics, where Autobots cast real shadows across practical explosions. Side by side, Disney's billion-dollar polish looked plastic. Paramount's steel felt tangible. Comments flooded in. This looks like cinema again. Yet the most devastating blow arrived courtesy of Bob Iger himself. During an investor livestream, a caller asked whether Disney regretted its pay dispute with Renner. Iger smiled stiffly and answered, "We stand by our compensation models." Seconds later, the broadcast chat filled with clown emojis. CNBC cut away as Disney stock ticked down another %. By week's end, the narrative was irreversible. Variety's cover declared, Marvel meltdown, while Entertainment Weekly splashed Robots vs. Mouse, the battle for blockbuster supremacy. The sub-headline, former Avengers lead the charge. Print hasn't felt that gleeful in years. In the calm of a Culver City soundstage, director Stephen Caple Jr. reviewed a new take. Hemsworth's soldier kneels beside a battered Autobot, whispering, "They underestimated us because they thought they owned us." Caple glanced at the monitor, nodded and called. No studio note would soften the line. This was the thesis of the whole rebellion captured in one breath. Outside, a grip taped a handmade sign over the exit. Respect is non-negotiable. Crew members slapped high fives as they passed under it, the same way Marvel folks once saluted the Avengers A logo. Empires shift, flags change, and somewhere in a Disney office, A nervous assistant deleted another slide from the next investor deck, the one predicting guaranteed Phase 7 growth. Even PowerPoints know when the fairy dust's gone. Across town, the Paramount lot was buzzing like it hadn't since Titanic. XX watched the meltdown from comfy screening rooms, and couldn't quite believe how neatly Disney was detonating itself. The leaked anti-Paramount email had done more marketing for Exodus than any Super Bowl spot ever could. Overnight, media monitoring dashboards lit up. Sentiment for Marvel dropped to 32% positive, the lowest since The Incredible Hulk. Transformers, it rocketed past 80%, shrugging off a decade of Bayham memes in a single news cycle. Yet the real quake hit when SAG-AFTRA's leadership quietly arranged a closed-door summit with Paramount's brass. Sources inside the guild say the agenda contained one line: define respectful compensation frameworks in light of Disney disputes. Translation: Paramount wanted to lock in a gold standard pay model before cameras rolled, proof that studios could treat talent like partners, not line items. The guild walked out beaming. Word spread faster than any press release. A-list agents began playing musical chairs, rerouting their biggest names towards scripts stamped with the new Autobot logo. Meanwhile, Disney was scrambling to plug leaks in a dam made of Swiss cheese. The Crisis Task Force floated a stopgap: resurrect Robert Downey Jr. with deepfake tech for a Disney Plus limited series entitled Iron Legacy. Legal warned the likeness rights alone could top $40 million, and that RDJ's reps were already negotiating a cameo in Exodus 2. One exec reportedly slammed his laptop shut and muttered, "We're reviving ghosts while they're hiring the living." Inside Marvel's VFX bunker, artists witnessed the panic zooms. Directors demanded entire third-act rewrites mid-render, trying to insert brand-new villains whose toy licenses were still being negotiated. Animators joked they were drawing bad guys that didn't legally exist yet. Schrodinger's burnout spiked. 2 supervisors resigned on the same Friday and showed up Monday on Exodus previs reels. Their first note from Paramount leadership: take time to craft shadow detail, audiences notice. It felt like oxygen. Press knew a feeding frenzy when they smelled corporate blood. Deadline ran an exposé chronicling Disney's crisis cascade, sourcing anonymous crew who described a culture of fear and spreadsheet filmmaking. Within hours, Bob Iger's office dispatched an all-staff memo reminding employees to celebrate our unrivaled storytelling legacy. Screenshots leaked, naturally. Twitter recaptioned it: celebrate the legacy, ignore the layoffs. Even consumer brands sensed the shift. Audi, Marvel's longtime product placement darling, announced a co-branded partnership with Exodus, unveiling an electric concept car designed by an Autobot engineer in universe. The reveal video got 12 million views in a day. Marvel's latest featurette on the Marvel's deleted scenes scraped 200K. Advertisers follow eyeballs, and the eyeballs were now fixed on giant sentient trucks. Paramount's momentum wasn't just PR. On Soundstage 1 and 17, Scarlett Johansson was shooting an intimate dialogue sequence opposite Hemsworth. No mocap suits, no tennis balls on sticks, just actors. A physical set, real lighting. Between takes she quipped, "Remember natural shadows?" Crew laughed, but the point landed. Real had become a novelty. And then a whistleblower from Disney Consumer Products dropped the hammer. Internal forecasts revealed merchandise pre-order demand plummeting 45% year-over-year. Retailers were slashing shelf space for new Marvel waves, betting kids would chase the shiny rebooted Optimus instead. Toy Kingdom leaked an email telling suppliers, stock cautiously, brand volatility high. Wall Street digested that tidbit. Disney shares dipped another 3 points before lunch. The snowball barreled on. IMAX opted to debut the first Exodus trailer before Nolan's next release, bumping Marvel's slot for a delayed teaser. Cineplex chains petitioned to lock in multi-week premium screen guarantees, something they hadn't offered Disney since Endgame. Theater owners no smell tests. They were betting audiences would pay for epic scope again, not green screen sitcoms with Sky Portal. Back at Marvel, Kevin Feige convened a midnight meeting. Options were bleak: beg departed stars to cameo, gamble on untested young Avengers, or pray Phase 5 titles didn't hemorrhage further. Someone suggested soft reboot via Secret Wars. Silence followed. Everyone knew even a multiverse reset would flop without trust. And trust had left the building the moment Disney tried to pay half a Jeremy for a whole heart. Across the freeway, Paramount's night shift crew members filed past that taped sign, "Respect is non-negotiable," and nobody tore it down. Security left it there. It had become a promise. In the parking lot, a grip spotted Renner practicing bow release form with a compound hunting rig, leg scar visible. Aims. He'd just finished a 12-hour day yet stayed to nail muscle memory. Someone called, "Still only half a Jeremy." He grinned. "Feel like double tonight." The war for blockbuster supremacy isn't coming, it's here, and the lines are drawn: spreadsheets versus soul, quotas versus crack. The next move belongs to Disney, but every strategy session ends with the same unspoken dread. You can't algorithm authenticity, and you can't buy back admiration once the heroes have driven off in a different franchise's convoy. Disney spent a decade convincing Wall Street that goodwill was inexhaustible, that if the logo glowed blue and the intro fanfare hit, audiences would cheer on cue. But goodwill is a currency, and this week the balance dropped to overdraft, because Paramount just issued the coup de grace, a Transformers Exodus sizzle reel timed to the exact minute Marvel's latest special look hit YouTube. Marvel's clip scraped 1.1 million views in 24 hours with a lopsided dislike ratio. Paramount's Blitz soared past 18 million, trended in 42 countries and pulled a 94% thumbs up. The real shock was the comment section. Marvel taught me heroes fly, Paramount reminded me they can bleed, I can finally watch CG without a laugh track, Disney paid half a Jeremy, Paramount gave him a full gear shift. Those snarky posts reopened scars in Burbank conference rooms, and the bleeding intensified when Hasbro revealed a collector-grade Hawkeye-inspired Autobot named Sharpshot. Likeness licensed directly from Renner's new deal. Disney legal fired cease and desist letters. Hasbro's reply leaked. Mr. Renner's face is his own intellectual property. Fans howled. Inside Disney, Iger ordered a crash brand reassurance campaign. Bus shelters plastered with fresh Avengers posters declared, "Believe in the Marvel you love." Overnight prank stickers appeared. "We will when Marvel does." Photos went viral. The ad buy was pulled within 48 hours. Moody's quietly placed Disney on negative watch, citing franchise saturation and talent flight. Investors noticed. Retail partners did too. One big box chain cut Marvel's Q4 shelf space in half and tripled pre-orders for Exodus figures. Talent dominoes kept falling. Elizabeth Olsen turned down Marvel's Midnight Suns pitch and signed to voice a Cybertronian AI in the second Exodus film. Paul Rudd is in talks for an Autobot chemist dubbed Catalyst. Rumor says Rudd asked Feige for clear direction on Ant-Man 4 and got PowerPoint bullet. Paramount offered storyboards, profit share and a villain arc. Decision made. Behind the camera, Oscar-winning DP Rachel Morrison quit a Disney Plus shoot to chase practical sunsets for Exodus 2 IMAX plates, leaving an exit note. "I can light blue screen sitcoms in my sleep. I'd rather chase real skies." Disney's Hail Mary is codenamed Project Omni, a multiverse mashup slamming Star Wars, Marvel and even Alien into one cinematic event. Working title: Empire of the Multiverse. Budget projections flirt with 800 million. Morale whispers in the red. One writer messaged a friend, "It's Space Jam with IP rights." Meanwhile, AMC and Regal have flex hold clauses that prioritize Exodus for premium screens if Marvel's next tentpole scores under 70 on Rotten Tomatoes. Exhibitors are pre-programming a failure contingency. The most brutal cut surfaced when Paramount dropped a set photo of Chris Hemsworth holding a clapperboard that read "Back to building worlds again," this time with oil and metal. Scarlett Johansson followed with an interview clip. "It's liberating. There's space for the character and for an industry that seldom hears Marvel alumni speak plainly heard thunder instead." Crew migration matched the headline names. Former Marvel VFX leads, costume designers and stunt coordinators joined Hasbro's payroll, praising better safety protocols and longer schedule. One FX artist who'd labored on Quantumania said of Exodus, "It feels like redemption." Inside Disney earnings calls, executives floated merging Marvel with other streaming brands to maximize audience synergy. Translation: they're gluing broken toys together. Fan response to leaked concepts like a Star Wars Avengers mashup. Instant mockery. Hashtag skewered every rumor. Even die-hard MCU loyalists begged the studio to stop. The audience has limits. They don't want more. They want better. Paramount seems to know it. Disney, blinded by a decade of autopilot success, forgot. When a teaser trailer with actual atmosphere and character beats the House of Mouse at its own marketing game, the culture notices and remembers. Paramount wrapped principal photography last night. After the final slate clapped, the crew presented Renner with a carbon fiber longbow engraved, "Full Jeremy, full value." Cameras captured his tear-blurred smile. That behind-the-scenes moment drops with the first full trailer next month. Disney could splice 100 multiverse cameos together and never hit the same human note. Studios don't own hearts, they borrow them. Disney treated devotion as a debit card and overdrafted the account. Paramount unexpectedly made a deposit of respect, and audiences are moving their balance to the bank that doesn't charge loyalty fees. Marvel once asked us to believe in heroes. The heroes believed in themselves first. They drove out the gate in Autobot convoys and left the castle walls to crumble behind them.